Good, happy Wednesday evening, April 13, 2022. I'm Riley King. Welcome to this Wednesday evening edition of the Riley King Newscast, right here on the Riley King Network. We have a lot of news to get to this Wednesday evening, so let's get started right now. First up, residents able to escape burning building in Pittsfield. Let's take a listen to that video from WMUR News 9.
Now's the time to get a great deal on taking care of your property. You need the #1
The 3-alarm fire at 8 Depot Street in Pittsfield started around 7:30 in the morning. Willis Hayes was in his second-floor apartment.
I noticed some smoke and bad smells coming out of the vents, and it was like very quickly after that I heard some glass burst on the front, and the flames just seemed to really get intense.
Hayes grabbed some things and got out. Sonia Lark was bringing her children to school when they noticed the smoke.
It was a little bit of smoke, and then within the 4 minutes, it went like completely bad as smoke. And then there was one cop here who did like an absolute amazing job knocking on everyone's door, telling people to move their cars.
Saw flames coming outside the windows, so I just started moving vehicles, trying to evacuate everyone on Depot Street. And as far as I know, we successfully did so.
We heard from bystanders that everybody was out, but it's priority that we do a search anyways. We did clear the whole building. Nobody was in the building.
The chief says 2 people were taken to the hospital, but their injuries are described as minor. One concern:
everything's so close to everything, and now the second floor is collapsed, so the building's pretty much almost unsafe.
But they were able to save the surrounding buildings, including the local theater.
I was in tears when I got here, came around the side, and saw what a wonderful job Pittsfield, first of all, has done.
As you take a live look at the scene, once again, you get an idea of just how close those buildings are. Now, one person said it looked like the fire started on the ground floor, but the fire chief says they have called in the state fire marshal's office to assist in the investigation. Reporting live in Pittsfield, Ray Brewer, WMUR News.
Okay, and there you go on that video and that report. Republicans in Concord abandon gas tax holiday for property tax relief idea. Let's take a listen to that video from WMUR News 9.
Now's the time to get a great deal on taking care of your property. You need the
The pain at the pump will continue. Republican legislative leaders in Concord have given up on the idea of a 2-month holiday from the state's 23-cent gas tax.
There was a lot of opposition. Our friends in the House, both Democrat and a few Republicans, didn't support it. Administratively, it was going to be very difficult to get it done by May 1st, and how the tax gets assessed was difficult.
Now, Senate Majority Leader Jeb Bradley says the plan for consumer relief is to put $28 million from the budget surplus toward municipal retirement costs.
It would go back to cities and towns with the purpose of, defraying their costs of retirement. And so that would be direct relief to taxpayers.
Senate Democrats say they've long advocated for the state to pay more into the public employee retirement system, but some are skeptical of this latest proposal.
Many cities and towns have already finalized their budgets, so their tax rates are set, their spending is already agreed on. It's just not going to help the average family that quickly.
While Republicans dismiss the criticism as partisan naysaying, Democrats contend this uneven fiscal policy making will result in either a tax whiplash or severe budget cuts.
We are looking in 3 or 4 years at huge revenue holes, and I'm concerned that we will not have the ability to deliver the important programs and services that the people of New Hampshire expect and want.
In Concord, Adam Sexton, WMUR News 9.
Okay, and there you go on that video and that report. Estranged wife of Harmony Montgomery's father pleads not guilty in gun theft case. Let's take a listen to that video from WMUR News 9.
Chapel Tractor has been in our family since 1955, when great-grandfather Burley and grandfather George decided to...
The Attorney General's office announcing tonight that Kayla Montgomery, who is already being held in jail related to other charges, is now facing new charges. And all of these charges are unrelated to the disappearance of Harmony Montgomery. The 31-year-old shown here in a prior court appearance is the estranged wife of Harmony's father, Adam Montgomery. Kayla is charged with 2 counts of receiving stolen property related to a theft of firearms. Each charge carries a maximum possible sentence of 7.5 to 15 years in prison. She's accused of receiving a rifle and shotgun that she knew or probably knew were stolen sometime between September and October of 2019. Kayla is still considering a plea offer related to other charges of theft by deception and welfare fraud. Now, in the meantime, the search for missing 7-year-old Harmony Montgomery continues, and if you have any information at all about her whereabouts, you can call a 24-hour dedicated tip line at the number right there on your screen. That's 603-203-6060. Reporting live in Manchester, Mike Cronin, WMUR News 9.
Okay, and there you go on that video and that report. CDC extends travel mask requirement to May 3rd as COVID rises. Brooklyn subway shooting suspect Frank R. James in custody. Let's take a listen to that video from ABC7NY.
Coverage continues now with Eyewitness News reporter Joe Torres. He's live at the scene of yesterday's violence in Brooklyn. He's breaking down the timeline of that attack, including how investigators managed to track down their suspect. Joe?
Sandra, before the arrest, the extent of this manhunt was clearly evident to every New Yorker who has a cell phone, because late this morning, your cell phone went off with an emergency alert about the ongoing search for Frank James. That widespread, all-encompassing effort paid off this afternoon when, yes, police spotted him wandering the streets of the East Village. The walls today closed in on Frank James. Police caught up with the subway shooting suspect this afternoon in the East Village near St. Mark's Place and First Avenue. Investigators, armed with a Crime Stoppers tip from the general public, noticed pictures on social media that showed the 62-year-old wandering around. Officers spotted him and took him into custody. He is now at the 9th Precinct.
33 shots, but less than 30 hours later, we're able to say, we got him.
We hope this arrest brings some solace to the victims and the people of the city of New York. We used every resource at our disposal to gather and process significant evidence that directly links Mr. James to the shooting. We were able to shrink his world quickly. There was nowhere left for him to run.
And that's why today's arrest should come as no surprise. Here's a photo that shows the suspect entering the Kings Highway subway station before the shooting on the northbound N train in Sunset Park. Federal investigators now know the 62-year-old suspect legally bought the gun used in Tuesday morning's subway shooting at a pawn shop in Columbus, Ohio, 11 years ago. The key to the U-Haul van parked in Gravesend, Brooklyn, linked James to that vehicle, which he rented in Philadelphia. Detailed scrutiny of James's social media rants should help detectives narrow down a motive for what happened. Posts that detail his frustrations about subway crime, public safety, and specifically Mayor Eric Adams.
I wanted to kill everything in sight. I was planning to kill everything I saw.
This case was quickly solved using technology, video canvassing, and then getting that information out to the public.
Now, investigators also said today that Frank James is no stranger to law enforcement both here in New York and in New Jersey as well. But you might be wondering, that does not include any felony convictions which would have prohibited his purchase of a firearm. He faces now federal charges for a violent attack in a mass transit system and crossing state lines in the commission of that crime. Up next for Frank James, a court appearance in downtown Brooklyn.
Okay, and there you go on that video and that report. And we are getting some breaking news into our newsroom right now. President Joe Biden to visit New Hampshire next week. Biden will make stop in Portsmouth. Let's take a listen to that video from WMUR News 9.
Now's the time to get a great deal on taking care of your property. You need the #1...
And more breaking news tonight. Senator Maggie Hassan's office now confirming that President Joe Biden will visit Portsmouth next Tuesday to discuss infrastructure investments. No word yet on where exactly the event will be held, what time, or if anything will be open to the public.
Okay, and there you go on that video and that report.
Beautify and rejuvenate your skin with Beeline products made from local honey and beeswax.
We don't want that anymore. Sorry about that, everyone. White House steps up aid for Ukraine. Let's take a listen to that video from ABC News.
Just bringing our chief White House correspondent, Cecilia Vega. Cecilia, the president's message, more help on the way.
Yeah, exactly, George. Right now, the administration looking to provide more help in terms of range and distance to Ukraine. They're really focused on the next phase of this war, as administration officials have been saying, that eastern Donbass region. So we're talking about a new aid package. It could come as early as today, as much as $750 million, things like Humvees, and new types of weapons and hardware. We're talking about things like these powerful howitzer artillery. These are like long-range cannons. Also today, this is a big deal. 8 of the top companies in the United States that make weapons, companies like Raytheon and Lockheed Martin, they're going to be at the Pentagon today talking about their ability to meet Ukraine's long-term weapons needs. This is long-term planning, so that gives you a sense of the conversations that are happening behind closed doors. George, listen to this. These numbers are staggering. President Biden so far pledging $2.4 billion in security aid to Ukraine since he took office. More than 1.7 of that, George, since this war began. Staggering numbers.
They certainly are. Cecilia Vega, thanks very much.
Well, hey there, GMA fans.
Okay, and there you go on that video and that report. That does it for this evening edition of the Riley King Newscast, right here on the Riley King Network. Thank you for tuning in and watching. Have a great evening. Good night and goodbye, everyone.